here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. So welcome back here, folks, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as facebook.com/wakeupcalldt and facebook.com/livenowdt, where you are watching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora's the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour. And Mr. Sofka is with us here as we get into NFL Week 3. Mike, how are we doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How are you, Dan?
Doing very well, and I thought give the people what they want here. We love talking fantasy and want to make sure that we're all set and saddled up and ready to go by 11 o'clock when the show typically ends, and I know we have been running well past that, so now we're starting a little bit earlier. We're going to hop right into it, but before we jump into this, how has your week been going? How has the first couple of weeks of football treated you?
Good. I've had a wonderful time. The season has its ups and downs. I mean, you look at the game's on Sunday. I'm watching the 1 o'clock kickoffs, and I'm sitting there, and in the first quarter of each of these 1 o'clock games, I see Tua go down. I see Andy Dalton go down. I see Baker Mayfield go down. I see Tyrod Taylor go down. I see Derek Carr go down. Wow. And 5 of them have lost their quarterback already. Now, a couple of them were able to come back, of course, and Carr and Baker, but Tyrod Taylor are going to be out for a little bit. Rookie Davis Mills going to get his start coming up, and Tua's got the rib problem, apparently not broken bones, but bad enough where they're considering Jacoby Brissett for the start. I think it's all about muscle and the ability to tolerate the pain there. So tricky situation, and this may be enough of a crack in the door in Chicago that we see Justin Fields go right through here, and Andy Dalton is supposedly going to be the starter even when he's healthy again. But when you got guys with bone bruises, you got guys spraining 2 ankles. I mean, how do you even do that? How do you even sprain 2 ankles at a time? I don't even know how that's physically possible, but apparently it is. So it's been exciting. It's kept me on my toes, and I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting, and it's been these first couple of weeks, and I watched him at Pizza Man, which has been a fantastic venue to see everything out on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville. I've loved it. I've loved just kind of being, the kid in the candy store, watching and seeing, these games and how the teams are doing and how they're progressing and whatnot. And just, some of and like you said, I mean, the injuries that have happened that have gone down, the people that have stepped in. I mean, the NFL is adventurous. It's always adventurous, and there's no lack of it by any stretch of the imagination. So I love watching it. I love seeing it, and obviously I hope everybody gets well very soon. Our Thursday night game, Mr. Sofka, we'll see Davis Mills get his start at home against the Carolina Panthers. New quarterback versus a new quarterback, with Sam Darnold not being a new quarterback to the NFL, but a new one to the Panthers, playing in his third game. What are your thoughts on Carolina at Houston?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because this is going to be one of those things where if you're playing in those survivor pools, if you're trying to pick the winner each week and keep going, win your group and win the Cadillac at the end of the year or whatever it is, my opposite team is the Texans. In years past, I've been, I'll just take whoever plays the Jets. Well, now you do that with the Texans. Look, I like Davis Mills. He went to Stanford. You got to be a smart dude to go to Stanford, okay? He went to Stanford and played football, so he's a good athlete and a smart dude. And I'd rather have a smart guy at quarterback than somebody who is not so smart, doesn't make good decisions all the time, a.k.a. Jameis Winston. So I'd rather have a Davis Mills than a Jameis Winston, simply because of the intelligence factor. All things being equal, and sometimes the smarter quarterback can get away with being less physically imposing and less physically fitting the quarterback mold. With that being said, I think Davis Mills is going to surprise some people, but I don't think the Texans are going to be in a position to win. Davis Mills, I got him at 33 on my quarterback ranking this week. I'm still unsure. There's only 32 teams, so that should tell you where I'm at with him, okay? Sam Darnold, you mentioned he's a new quarterback, too. Well, he's new to the team, like you said, and I think he and Robbie Anderson and Rule are doing the right things. They're heading in the right direction there with that mindset they probably carried over from tempo with them. I got Sam Darnold as number 19 this week. I got Christian McCaffrey, who's the stud on that team, number 1 overall fantasy player this week. If you're playing daily, you have to have him in the lineup for sure. And then on the other side of the ball, well, not so much. I mean, I'm looking at Mark Ingram maybe in the 30s. And on the receiver end, I mentioned Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, kind of the 1-2 punch, kind of like Tampa's got with the – well, Tampa's got a lot more than that. I can't say that anymore. Looking at the tight ends for both of these teams, you can do better elsewhere. Highest-ranking tight end on the field would be Dan Arnold at number 25. So I'm looking at this game. Even though Carolina's going to travel to Houston for this game, I got them winning by a touchdown easy.
Yeah, Houston, it's funny. Houston, we have a problem, honestly, should be their moniker. I mean, this should be just the team rally cry. Hey, we got a problem. Let's see how we battle out of it this time around. It's sad to see that, Houston is where they are. I mean, you think about it. Deshaun Watson went from high-profile quarterback going to be potentially traded or he's going to be an embattled quarterback that's going to be sitting there in a marriage he doesn't want to be in anymore, and then it turned into something drastically different. Now it's he's not playing. When is he going to play? Is he going to play? Should he play? What are they going to do with this situation type of thing? And it's left the other guys to be open to the opportunity of playing. I think, if you were a quarterback in Houston, Davis Mills, I mean, you got to be happy that they drafted him, because as they're going through all these issues with Deshaun Watson, they make a decision to bring in Davis Mills, and this could really work out in Davis's favor because of the fact that, if Tyrod's going to be out for a little while, which we pray and we hope he gets better and he gets back and is safe and sound, and that if Davis wins the job, it's because he was the better quarterback and not because somebody went down hurt, because you don't want to see that. But I love the fact that they drafted him and gave him a shot, and now here he is as a rookie going to be playing from Stanford. By the way, he also has the best birthday in the history of birthdays, under Jesus, of course. I'm not taking December 25th. But under that, for every human being, the best birthday ever, October 21st. He was born in 1998. I was born in 85. So shout out to Davis Mills. I'm going to be cheering for you because we birthday buddies. So I'm very excited to see him out there. But as far as fantasy goes in this one, Sam Darnold, he's a lower-end quarterback one to me in this week. Christian McCaffrey's worth the start. Chuba Hubbard is a low flex. I would say probably like a running back 4, but still has value. He's playing Houston, so I don't think it's a bad bet if you're going to play 3 or 4 running backs to potentially have him out there. Robbie Anderson I like in this as well. DJ Moore, I would say, is a wide receiver 2. I'd put Robbie as a low-end 1 at wide receiver. Terence Marshall, I still want to see more of kind of where he's going to be at, but I wouldn't get rid of him, as we told somebody last week. As far as Houston's quarterback situation, I'm excited to see Davis Mills, but I don't think you should be relying on him to save you this week. So hopefully you would not have to be playing him or Houston team quarterback as we have. Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Philip Lindsay, Rex Burkhead, they're all there. They're all guys that got time in other places, guys that started in other places at times outside of Rex, unless there's a bunch of injuries. So Ingram's your best bet here, but he's a running back 3. Brandon Cooks, I would say, is wide receiver 2, maybe a wide receiver 3, and that's really it. There's not a ton of fantasy value with Houston. It lies in Carolina, which means I'm going to give Carolina the slight edge here in Houston to get to win. Houston's one of those teams, just like in week 1 against Jacksonville, where I'm like, I don't see this team being that great this year. I mean, they got a bunch of issues in the locker room that can't go understated, on top of the fact that I just don't think that they're an incredibly great team, yet they found a way to take care of the Jaguars. I don't think they're going to take care of Carolina, who came out in the same year as Jacksonville in 1995. I'm going with the Panthers on the road. Washington and Buffalo, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I like Taylor Heineke. I like his spirit. I like his gumption. I like where he's coming from. But I think he's in for a rude awakening here going to Buffalo. Buffalo, I think they should be 2-0, but it is what it is. Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We saw how he finished up last year. I got him number 4. this week. But Taylor Heineke, you think, well, Mike, you just spoke so highly of him. He's got to be way up there. No, he's number 27. This is a guy that nobody even knows. I would mention that name even among sports friends, and they would go, who, what? He does what for who? They don't know. But looking at the running backs here, I like Antonio Gibson. He's always top 10. I don't have to tell you that if he's on your roster. He's number 9 for me this week. And on the other side of the ball, I can't really go that high for Devin Singletary. He's at 30. And Zach Moss, they're bringing him back slowly here, I guess. We'll see what he does this week. Hopefully, Zach. I know a lot of people had high hopes for Zach Moss already at this point in his career. And he's been on and off, hot and cold. And Singletary's in his way. Singletary's playing all right. Looking at the wide receivers here, they got a stud wide receiver in Buffalo, Stephon Diggs, number 4 overall. And then for Washington, they got a stud on the other side, too. Terry McLaurin, number 13 on my rankings. It's a little bit of a drop-off after that for both teams there, with Cole Beasley being the next receiver at 44. And at the tight end position, Logan Thomas, the guy always seems, whenever I'm ready to write this cat off, boom, he comes out with a good game, or I see him make a great play. So he's top 10 most all the time. He's number 10 this week. And, Buffalo, not so much. They haven't really needed Dawson Knox or somebody to step up, but Dawson Knox will check in at number 24 on my rankings this week. And you know what? I don't know how I can bet against Buffalo at home against Washington, so I won't. I'm going to take Buffalo.
Yeah, in Washington, as you mentioned, this is a team that they put guys out there that you're thinking, no, do I draft them? What do I do? But they do have talent. They do. And Logan Thomas is one of those guys that I never thought the last year or two that I would draft him. There was a bunch of guys I had above him. And, then here we are, one of the leagues they were drafting early, and Mike and I always tell you to, you can adjust things here and there in your draft, but to not lose scope of what you're after, and not to, let people kind of control you and move you in a different place. And there was a run on tight ends, and I just thought to myself, it's too early. It's just too early for me to do this. And so Logan Thomas was there, and I took him, and I thought, okay, he's a starter. He'll be in good shape. But not one of those guys that I'm thinking in my head like, oh, I had to go get him. Oh, my goodness. So I don't expect a lot out of him, which means when he performs, I'm excited. I'm in it. So I definitely am hoping the best for him. As far as fantasy goes here, quarterbacks for, Washington in this matchup, would I be playing Taylor Heineke out there for your fantasy team? I'm going to say no. But is there talent out here? Absolutely. Antonio Gibson's worth the play. I think he's a running back, low end 1, high end 2. Terry McLaurin's worth the play as well. I think a wide receiver 1. Logan Thomas is a low end, tight end 1. I think he's worth the play for you as well. Josh Allen, obviously, quarterback 1. I know he's not had the best of starts against the Steelers, but they were able to get the win this time, and he looked great out there. And they were just putting it on Miami in this road game. And granted, Tua wasn't playing, so came out during the game, and we hope and pray the best for him as well. But the Buffalo Bills just came to play and did what they needed to do. Zach Moss got involved. I think he's good for a running back 3. I think Devin Singletary, a running back 2 for you. And then Stephon Diggs, I like him as a wide receiver 1. And I still like Gabriel Davis I think he's their second best receiver. I think for you, he's a wide receiver 3. Cole Beasley, a flex. Gabriel Davis, potentially a flex or a low end 2, depending on how deep you go. And Dawson Knox has shocked me this year. He scored in each of the first 2 opening games, so he's a low-end tight end 1 for me. I see a lot of fantasy value on both sides, and I want to pick Buffalo at home. I know Washington is dangerous. I feel like Mike said, Taylor Heineke's not a household name, and I think some people are going to really overlook this game and go, oh, yeah, okay, this is like 40 to whatever Buffalo. No, I think this game is going to be close. I think Taylor Heineke is going to make some people turn their heads, but I am going to pick Buffalo at home. I'm just preparing you that this might be like an overtime or last-second game. This game might be very, very close, and you might not believe me when you see the end scores like 30-28.
to tell a short 10 seconds here about Taylor Heineke and people not knowing who Taylor Heineke is. I was with my brother, and I had to meet him at this restaurant. He was at the bar when I got there, so I walked over to the bar. We started talking. I saw a thing on the screen. I saw Taylor Heineke replay on the screen, so I said, wow, Taylor Heineke. And the chick brought me a green bottle and sat it in front of me.
I love it. I love it. Get your hands off my Heine. That was in Austin Powers, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" And he pulled out the Heineken from behind him. So it's good stuff. Taylor Heineke doing his thing. I'm excited. I'm excited for him. I'm excited to see what he's going to do in this game. Washington's that sneaky team that I just don't think you can count out of games that you might think are going to be easy wins for whoever's playing Washington. So even without Ryan Fitzpatrick, remember last year Taylor Heineke had to step in and he had to play down the stretch, and he did some big time things there toward the end of the season, like the biggest parts of the season. So credit him for that. Chicago at Cleveland, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm interested to see this game. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Cleveland's going to blow them out." I don't know. I think this is going to be a real good game to watch. I think Justin Fields is the Mendoza boy this week. He's right there at 15-16 on my rankings. And you want to know the funny thing, the sad thing, if you would, I got him ranked higher than Baker Mayfield at 23. So that's why, just settle down. It's not going to be a blowout by any means here. I think we're going to see some things from Justin Fields we're going to be wowed by. The guy who always wows me is number 14 on the running back ranking this week. That's Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb surprises me day after day after day. He's got Kareem Hunt, for gosh sakes, breathing down his neck here, and he does nothing but go out there and perform. And that's a wonderful thing to have a back like that and to have somebody behind him. I got Kareem Hunt at 27, so I've got some leagues where I have them both just in case one of them got hurt. I'd have that much better of a situation. David Montgomery, number 22 on my rankings for the Bears. Going over the wide receiver, Allen Robbins is the best receiver on the field, and he'll be the highest ranked guy at 17 on my rankings. And I have to go down a little further to find T. Higgins, then Jamar Chase, then Tyler Boyd. All three of them almost boom, boom, boom. T at 29, Chase at 32, and Boyd at 36. Going over to the tight end position, there's really not that one wow guy. Austin Hooper's hot or cold. He's number 13 on my rankings this week. David Njoku, number 20 on my ranking this week. And then I have to go down a little bit further to find a Cole Kmet down here in the high 20s as well. So I'm not so excited about the tight ends, but I'll tell you what, I think this is going to be a defensive game. Jarvis Landry's not playing. Odell's supposed to be back. It's a home game for the Browns. So I think the Browns are going to pull it out, but I think it's going to be closer than people think.
Yeah, when the Bears play the Browns play the Bengals. It's games like this that really are like toss-up games. It's when you see, I don't know what it is. I really don't. I don't know. It's like the CBs versus the CBs. Chicago Bears, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns. When you see CB on an NFL schedule, you just don't know which way it's going to fall. They play each other tough, and usually some weird things tend to happen. Justin Fields, go get it. If you have two quarterbacks you could play, he's worth the play in this, but I think he's a quarterback too, so he shouldn't be your starter. David Montgomery, Damian Williams, who used to play at Kansas City behind Edwards-Helaire, and one of the main guys there when they broke their relationship with Kareem Hunt, who they'll be going up against. Well, Damian Williams will be going up against, I should say. He used to be the main guy when that situation occurred. Now he's with Chicago. Montgomery is worth the play for you in this one as well. I'd say he's running back one, maybe mid-range, and Allen Robinson, obviously worth putting out there. It doesn't matter what quarterback he has. He comes to play. Rashad Perriman, who's had a ton of injuries since coming from UCF. I'm praying and I'm hoping he gets well and stays well because he's ready for this game, and he's on Chicago now. So, God willing, all good things will happen there. And then Darnell Mooney, he's a wide receiver 4 for you this week. I still think he's a flex guy out of Tulane. I want to see more from him. Cole Kmet has Jimmy Graham and Jesse James behind him, 2 former starting tight ends, and Cole Kmet has found his way to get to the start there. I think he's a low-end 1, high-end 2 at tight end this week. As far as Cleveland goes, just watch Baker Mayfield. He's questionable with a shoulder injury. Case Keenum, who was the quarterback in Denver when Shamarko Thomas, Syracuse alum, who was on the show yesterday and every other Tuesday in the episode that we always have, our special On the Mark, Tuesdays at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time bi-monthly. Shamarko's quarterback was Case. Now he's with Cleveland. So Baker Mayfield, I think they should bring back Eric Dungy from SU. He can use his same helmet because those orange helmets look exactly the same. But Baker Mayfield, if he is able to go in this game, I think he's a low-end 1, high-end quarterback 2 this week. I like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That's a cut and paste for me. Wide receivers, not really feeling it for the Cleveland Browns, and I'm not feeling their tight end situation either. And I feel bad because I really thought out of Miami David Njoku would be doing more right now, but I'm going to put the win on Cleveland in this matchup. Mike, we'll go to our next one here that we have, and if you have questions, make sure you ask them. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, all places where you can write into us. Baltimore at Detroit. Baltimore coming off of an instant classic against Kansas City, and Detroit, they're Detroit. So what are your thoughts as the Ravens will head to the Lions?
Yeah, this is one of those games you really hope, and I don't think it will because John Harbaugh's a great coach. I don't think it'll become an issue, but, you expect a letdown. They're going to Detroit. Oh, it's Detroit. They're 0-2. Okay, foot comes off the gas. We're at the rest stop, taking it easy. You can't do that. It's still the NFL, and I think they know that. And I think they're going to be better for that. Look, they're driven by Lamar Jackson. That's what this team is. Lamar Jackson, number 1 fantasy quarterback. If I told you that I could promise you a fantasy quarterback that would get you 300 yards every game, you'd be, yeah, that'd be great. Well, Lamar's the type guy that can get you 200 through the air, but he's going to get you 100 on the ground and 2 touchdowns at least. So, that's the type of value he brings. And he brings the type of value where not all the players around him are household names. A lot of people don't know or forgot about Sammy Watkins or Marquise Brown. Yeah, they make big splash plays once a game or so, but they're not the Lamar Jackson of the team. So, this is the same situation with the running backs there now as well because of the injuries. Tyson Williams, Latavius Murray, they've activated Devontae Freeman. Probably won't be long before we see Le'Veon Bell out there as well on the practice squad. So, I like the Ravens in this game, obviously. I like Lamar Jackson in this game, obviously. Number 1 quarterback. The rest, though, I'm having a hard time with. I really am. Running backs, nothing up high. I got Tyson Williams at 34. I have DeAndre Swift at 12. But that's a soft 12 for me. I think he's on his way down, but he did have a strong performance this past week. Jamal Williams disappointed in his revenge game, though. I got him at 28 this week. Looking at the wide receivers, again, I like the splash plays Quintez Cephas made early in that Detroit game. And Detroit looked real good early against Green Bay. In the first half, I was like, wow, Green Bay may lose again. I was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be RELAX anymore. All these visions are going through my head. Then the Packers came out and smoked them in the second half and reminded me, well, that's why they're the Lions right now. So if it had been the opposite, if the Lions went out in the second half and really played strong, I'd be more worried for Baltimore in this game. Going over to wide receiver, I like Mark Andrews, number 5, and TJ Hawkinson, of course, number 3. So there's where your value is. There's where your money is in this game. Lamar Jackson and the 2 tight ends. Those would be strong plays in my mind for daily fantasy players as well. I got to go with the visiting team, the Ravens, in this one.
Yeah, how do you not go the Ravens in this matchup? With all honesty, the Ravens are the Ravens, and the Lions are the Lions. That's the truth of the matter. These are 2 different teams in 2 different places. The Ravens are trying to show that they're, that they are worth believing in, and the Lions are trying to figure out who they are still. So Lamar Jackson, play. Tyson Williams, I picked him and put him out there. Loving what he's doing. This man putting that work in. And where is he from, folks? UCF. So Tyson Williams, put him out there, let him play. He's a running back too in most situations, but he played well, and he's playing Detroit. So play him. Sammy Watkins has risen to number 1 on the depth chart in front of Marquise Hollywood Brown. And so Sammy, I would say he's a wide receiver 3. Marquise Hollywood Brown, I'd say, is a lower end 3. Mark Andrews is worth the play for you. I like the rushing attack, and Lamar Jackson, that man just a beast. So that's reality. DeAndre Swift, a running back 2. Jamal Williams, a running back 2. And the non-household names of Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Quintez Cephas, Trinity Benson, Caterell Hodge, and Tom Kennedy, none of them worth the play for me. TJ Hawkinson is a tight end 2. I got Baltimore rolling in this little doozy. So I'm going to pick the Ravens in this one. And Mike and I will take a quick step aside for a fast break. When we come back, plenty more coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, as Mike and I will be discussing our next game up, and that game for you, the next one up that we have here on our schedule, is going to be obviously more 1 o'clock games before we head to the 4 o'clock. We do these down the line, Thursday night football to the 1 o'clocks to the 4 o'clocks to Sunday night football, Monday night football. So our next one on the schedule is Indianapolis at Tennessee, a battle inside the AFC South, and Mike and I will discuss it right after this fast break where sports meets life. You are watching and listening to the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Go see them on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, open 7 days a week with indoor and outdoor dining and takeout and delivery, 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. We'll be back inside Cafe Cabal Studios right after this.
It's what happy tastes like. You don't lie, because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavored ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carbolite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carbolanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carbolite ice cream. Carbo the way. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop CafeCabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. We're inside of the Cafe Cubal studios, and you can find your Cafe Cubal near you on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, in downtown Syracuse at the Gausanos Children's Hospital. And we thank them for all they're doing for our kids and for the community. You can find Cafe Kubal as well on 343 Fayette Street in a giant behemoth of a brown stripe building that looks like coffee being poured, with a whole new expanded parking lot as well. So plenty of spaces for you at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. And you can find their drive-through location right by the airport, the Syracuse Hancock International Airport. And you can find that at the Sweetheart Corner on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road. Corner of Route 11 and Taft Road, right there in North Syracuse, New York, for the Sweetheart Corner drive-through location for Cafe Kubal. So, inside the Fantasy Football Power Hour, Mike and I up next. Indianapolis at Tennessee. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, before the season, I would have thought, oh, man, this is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be the game I'm going to have to watch. Well, not so much now. There's injuries taking place and so forth. But I do like Derrick Henry a lot. What's not to like about him? But starting off at quarterback for both of these teams, Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill's on the Mendoza line here. He's 17 this week. And due to the injuries to Carson Wentz, well, Jacob Eason's going to get his start. And I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I don't have him graded very high, of course. First start, 34 on the rankings here. But I have confidence in this guy. I think he can build and become a quarterback. I think these are great situations for both him and Davis Mills. They've been, in the situation in the quarterback room. They've had their toes in the water. Now they're going to get to jump all the way in the pool, and I'm excited for both of those guys. Anyway, getting back on track here, Jonathan Taylor, number 13 on my ranking. Derrick Henry, of course, the best running back, probably the best player on the field. Super fast for his size. He's number 4 on my rankings this week. And then at wide receiver, Michael Pittman, number 37. T.Y.'s out. They're just dinged up. Jack Doyle showed up for the first time in a long time this past week here. And looking over at the wide receivers, I'm not sure that I'm as excited about these guys as I've been in the past, but I got A.J. Brown at number 22, and I got Julio Jones at 34, so I'm not expecting a lot here, but that's okay. I may get pleasantly surprised. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised than greatly disappointed, if that makes any sense. And looking over at the tight end situation, I said Jack Doyle showed up last week. I got Anthony Furser at number 23 this week, and the Colts going to Tennessee. I want this game to be a field goal type game. It just may come down to it, but I got to go with the home team. I can't go with the rookie quarterback here, not yet. I'm going with the Titans.
Yeah, and I think you got to. I mean, looking at this one here, the Titans, and like you said, you think this would be more of a matchup, but as it stands right now, I mean, with Indy, with everything that they've been dealing with injuries and whatnot, it's just, I mean, they're not a bad team, and I think that they were potentially, and they still may, I think they will surprise some people, surprise me a little bit here, but as they are right now, I don't feel fantastic about, where the Colts are at, and it's unfortunate for them to have to be in this place. I mean, really, ever since Andrew Luck decided 2 weeks before the season to retire, it's been really rough on them, and I hope that things get better. Jonathan Taylor is worth the play for you in this one. Michael Pittman went off. I think he's a wide receiver 2 for you. Could be a wide receiver 3 depending on how things shake out, but I like Michael Pittman to at least put out there somewhere in your receiver core, and I like Jonathan Taylor. Outside of that, it's all on Tennessee. I like Ryan Tannehill in the matchup as a quarterback 1, not as high as maybe some people you'd have on your list, but I do like Ryan Tannehill. Remind you that Mike and I both had him in our preseason rankings in the top 10, so I like Tannehill. Derrick Henry, worth the play as well. A.J. Brown, yes. Julio Jones in this game, yes. I'd say Julio is still a wide receiver 2, not a wide receiver 1 for me, but I think this is going to be a good game for Tennessee. I think it's going to be good for fantasy value, and I think you're going to be all right. I'm going to pick the Titans as well, and as they say in D.C., tighten up, or tighten go. So we'll have some fun with the Titans this week. Mike, next one, Los Angeles at Kansas City, the battle of the AFC West. What do you have for this as the Western team travels to the Midwest to face off against Kansas City?
Yeah, well, Kansas City's still recovering from getting their heart ripped out of their chest by the Ravens, so I think that may be trouble for the Chargers. The Chargers are a great team. I like the Chargers, but geez, how can I go against Patrick Mahomes? The only guy I have ranked higher than him is Lamar Jackson. Patrick Mahomes, number 2 on the ranking this week. Justin Herbert's been playing great ball, though, ever since last year. He's still keeping up the pace. He's number 10 on the rankings this week. Looking over at running back, I got Austin Eckler at 7. He's the do-everything guy. He knows he's got to keep himself on the field. He's got Larry Roundtree trying to get on the field. There's still got Justin Jackson breathing down his neck, too, but he always performs. I got him number 7 on the rankings. Clyde Edwards-Helaire knocked down a little bit because of the Charger defense. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 21. Looking at the receivers, you know one of the top names week in, week out is going to be Tyreek Hill. Well, maybe not so much. No, I'm just kidding. He is. He's number 1 on the rankings. And looking at the Chargers, they got a number 1 of their own called Keenan Allen on the other side. He's number 7 on my rankings. Everyone else is a dip down lower in the 30s and 40s. So I don't know if I can count on one guy. I can count on guys on other teams. I can count on Mike Williams. I can count on Nicole Hardman. I count on these guys to make big splash plays. But can I count on them to help me win my fantasy game this week? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Travis Kelce's asking himself, who's the best tight end in the league? Well, it's him week in, week out. Travis Kelce, number 1 tight end. And Jared Cook, number 11. He's a red zone guy. He's a touchdown machine. So Jared Cook, number 11 on my rankings. And looking at this game, I'll have to go with the Chiefs at home, especially coming off that loss. I think they're going to put up some points in this one. I like the Chiefs.
Yeah, before we get to my thoughts on the Chiefs Chargers, we had a question that came in, Mike. Tons of options for my flex half a point PPR. I need one from the following: Jamar Chase, Mike Davis, Brandon Cooks, Javante Williams, Devontae Smith, or James White. He needs to pick one from Chase, Mike Davis, Brandon Cooks, Javante Williams, Devontae Smith, or James White for flex half point PPR. What would you say?
Yeah, I go Mike Davis. I mean, you go with the running back. I mean, I'm tempted to go to Jamar Chase there. Brandon Cooks, I got number 14 on the wide receiver ranking. So, I mean, he's not asking an easy question here. But when in doubt, if all things are equal, everything's equal, and if one's a running back, one's a wide receiver, I'm always going with the running back because I think he's going to have more opportunities to get his hands on the ball.
Yeah, for me, and so we'll make sure we put this in here for you. And thank you, Greg, for the question. So Mike's going to go. Mike says Mike Davis, and of your list, a half a point PPR, I would have to say. Now you got Javante Williams too. So I would have to, if it was up to me, it'd probably be between Javante Williams and Jamar Chase. I'm going to say Chase. So Mike's going to say Mike Davis and a half a point PPR. I'm going to say Jamar Chase. I'm saying Jamar Chase because, the situation that he's in. Obviously, he's with Burrow. I know Burrow, it made some mistakes this week and whatnot, but he knows Burrow and he knows him well. And, half a point PPR, I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. This is a tough question. I mean, Mike's not lying about this by any stretch. I mean, this is not an easy question for us to answer because I like Javante Williams in this too, like I said. So I'm going to say Jamar Chase. I believe I said that in one of the PPR questions last week. So I'm going to stick with that and go Jamar Chase. But thank you, Greg, for the question. If you have any thoughts or, rebuttal or whatever you'd like to ask, make sure you do that. You can send in your questions to mixlr.com/wakeupcallDT's live feed, as well as facebook.com/wakeupcallDT and youtube.com/wakeupcallDT. My thoughts on this game: Justin Herbert, I like him in the matchup, worth the play. Lower end quarterback one. Austin Eckler, you got to play him here. And Keenan Allen is worth the play as well. I would say outside of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, a wide receiver 3. On the other side for Kansas City, I like Patty Mahomes. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well. Darrell Williams scored in week 2. So, I mean, he could be a flex for you. I would temper your thoughts on that. I mean, this is a guy that I think is going to maybe score here and there. Like Mike said, is he going to win you your week, or is he going to just maybe be a big play here and there, and you're rolling the dice on, is he going to get me 1 this week, or 7, or 20, or none? So that's something to look at. Nicole Hardman had 55 yards for Sunday Night Football. He is a flex still for me. Tyreek Hill's worth the play. Travis Kelce's worth the play, and that's where I see the value. I'm going to go with Kansas City at home. I think Baltimore is a good team, and I thought they were a good team last year, and there's just some trip-ups. So I'm not – more and more I'm looking at Baltimore saying to myself, okay, you know what, maybe this is the team I had some high hopes in last year. Like, maybe this team's finally coming through. And so they gave Kansas City a fight. I think they're going to give them more of a fight than the Chargers will. So I'm going to stick with Kansas City in this matchup. New Orleans at New England. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, it's going to be an ugly fantasy points game anyway. It might be interesting to watch on the field, but I got both quarterbacks near the bottom end of the barrel here, and for totally different reasons. One, Mac Jones at 28 because he's a rookie, and number 30, Jameis Winston, because, well, he's Jameis Winston. Going over to the running back situation, running back, and I'll tell you what, the running back on the other side, Damian Harris, has been playing real strong lately. I like him a lot. He's at number 20 on the ranking. The wide receivers, I'm not playing any wide receivers in this one. The highest ranked one I have here is Marquez Callaway at 66 on my rankings. So I'm not playing any wide receivers here. And going over to the tight end position, Jonnu Smith has been showing up. He's number 17 on my rankings. Adam Troutman, number 20, so for whatever that's worth to you. Look, I like this game. I like this game better than I like the fantasy implications of this game, outside of Alvin Kamara, of course. But I'm going to go with the home team here and the Patriots to take the win.
Yeah, Patriots, again, I mean, this is one of those things where you can't ever count them out. I mean, Bill Belichick's still their coach. I understand that Tom Brady's not there, but when Belichick is your coach, it always makes you dangerous. And so I think, for this game and for really a lot of different games that we're going to see them play this year, you can't count them out. We're getting some questions coming in, so we'll get to your questions in just a second here. New Orleans at New England, Mike giving you his thoughts. I'll give you mine on the New Orleans-New England game, which will be played in Foxborough. But I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara in this game as well. I think Alvin is definitely week to week a cut and paste guy. Deontay Harris, Lil Jordan Humphrey, as well as Marquez Callaway, they're all toss-ups. These are flex guys. These are guys you might be able to find out there. Adam Trotman, may be able to find him. I'm not sold on him. Juwan Johnson got another bunch of targets from Jameis Winston, who seems to like him. So if two tight end situation, maybe Juwan's your second one. You could probably pick him up out there and still find him. So I like him as a sneaky play this week, but Alvin Kamara is the guy that I would go with. And, famous Jameis, he's had some good moments, but I don't feel great about sending him to New England and saying that's your starting quarterback to try and win you fantasy this week. As far as New England goes, I'm not sold on Mac Jones being your fantasy quarterback to win it for you this week. So, Damian Harris, I would say, is a low-end running back 2, high-end 3. Jonnu Smith, low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2. As Mike said, this is ugly fantasy-wise. I don't see a lot of greatness here, so hopefully you're not relying on this to win you your week. The questions that came in before we get to the next one. Michael, we're going to take your question. He said, Elijah, Singletary, or Hilaire for running back 2. Also, do I slide them in my flex and go with Marvin Jones or Brandon Cooks? So, a question once again, Elijah, Singletary, or Hilaire for running back 2. Also, do I slide one of them in my flex or go with Marvin Jones or Brandon Cooks? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Brandon Cooks in this situation here, but so keep him in the lineup there. And I have to go with the safer bet. I'll have to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think that's going to be a safer play. I think they're going to continue to try to give him the ball more so than they had in, last year, the second season here. So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the highest ranked player out of the bunch. Elijah's dinged up. A lot of people don't realize that San Fran has been churning through running backs like the Ravens. I mean, they're just churning them up and spitting them out. Trey Sermon may be the only true healthy guy there. I got Elijah Mitchell to 29, though. I think he's going to take the field, and I think he's going to do what he has to do to get on the field and make things happen. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the best player out of that bunch, and I have Brandon Cooks ranked at 14 as far as wide receivers go this week, so keep Brandon Cooks in that lineup as well.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Cooks, the only thing about it is boom or bust, right? It's early on in the week, so it's a Thursday night game. If he does well for you, you start off with some cushion. If he doesn't, well, then you feel like you wasted one of your roster spots there.
Well, let me explain the mentality with that. He's been an okay receiver stats-wise and fantasy-wise. They're going to be losing the whole game. They're going to have to throw. You know, it's like Jameis Winston last year. Oh, you know, he had 30 picks, but he had 30 touchdowns. He had 30 touchdowns because he had 30 picks. He had to be on the field. He had to be airing it out. I think they don't really have a strong running attack in Houston. I think they are going to throw the ball. I think Davis Mills is going to surprise some people. And I think that the guy they're going to be throwing the ball to is Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with you on this one and say Cooks and Helaire. I just wanted to bring up the point of that. But I like Cooks as the player that is kind of a sleeper that can help you out. I don't lean on him, but I think at times your team may lean on him during the season. I think he's a player that can help you out in that respect. Singletary with Moss and him still trying to figure things out. I'm going to say Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So I'm going to agree with Mike on the two pieces there to answer Michael B's question. Greg, you sent in a question to us, and I have to ask you, which Jay Williams is this? I don't know if it's Devante Williams or Jamal Williams. I want to make sure we answer your question correctly and thoroughly here. So he said, who do I start in my running back 2 spot PPR? Mitchell, Henderson, Gaskin, Pollard, or Jay Williams. I don't know if that's Javante or Jamal. So, and Greg just told us it's Jamal Williams. So, Mike, I'll let you go first on this. Who should Greg C. start in his running back spot PPR for running back 2? Elijah Mitchell of the Jets, Darrell Henderson of the Rams, Myles Gaskin of the Dolphins, Tony Pollard of the Cowboys, or Jamal Williams of the Lions?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I know Jamal Williams just laid down the stinker in his old revenge game there. I got him at 28. I got Gaskin at 26. Elijah Mitchell at 29. And I'm concerned about his injury status. So, I might have to go with Gaskin here. I may not like it, but, I think I have to go with Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, would it be between Gaskin and Henderson for you? Do you think Henderson holds value there, or?
No, because I think Henderson's dinged up, and you're going to see Sony Michel with the start for the Rams, and I don't even know if Henderson's going to dress. It just depends on how his Friday practice, but if they've named Sony Michel the starter already, I'm not even considering Henderson at this point.
Yeah, so, Greg, to answer your question, Mike says Myles Gaskin. I'd stay away from Jamal Williams. I don't draft him. I just not sold on his fantasy value. I haven't been for a long time. Go ahead.
I'm holding my nose with that one, and like I said, I got Jamal Williams ranked right behind him and Elijah Mitchell ranked right behind him as well. I don't like it, but out of that bunch, he's the one.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to tell you, Greg, I'd like to tell you Tony Pollard. I mean, that he's got a lot of value, but
he's running well.
Yeah, he is. So I would say for the running back 2, Mike says Gaskin to answer your question, Greg, and I would say Gaskin or Pollard, and looking at them both, Myles Gaskin is going up this week at Vegas, going to be on the road, and then Pollard is going to be on Monday Night Football against Philadelphia. So I would say Gaskin or Pollard. Right now I'm leaning more Tony Pollard. So I'm going to say I'm going to send that to you, and I'm going to type it here so that you have it here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt so we can answer that here. If you have any questions on your fantasy team specifically, send it to us, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. The live feed is on. Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt where Greg sent his. That live feed is on. And mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. That radio, internet radio worldwide, that feed is on as well for you to send us your questions. Even aliens can send them to us. So wherever you are, you can send it out to us if you got our signal here. And so make sure you do that. Greg C., Mike said Gaskin. I said Gaskin or Pollard. Right now I'm leaning Pollard to tell you once again. And then we have Bruisin sent us a question. Should I trade Mike Evans and Sterling Shepard for Mike Williams and Marvin Jones? Thoughts?
Repeat that trade one more time.
Should I trade? This is answering Bruzen's question. Should I trade Mike Evans and Sterling Shepard for Mike Williams and Marvin Jones?
No, I wouldn't do that. Whoever gets Mike Evans in that deal is going to win that trade. Now, I know there's only one ball in Tampa, and it needs to be spread around. But Mike Evans carries that trade by himself. So no, I like keeping Mike Evans. I like keeping whoever has Mike Evans side in that deal. They're the winner.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that too. As soon as I saw Mike Evans and I looked at what you'd be getting, that's a no for me. So I'm gonna stay with Mike on that and say that no, you should keep it because of the fact that you'd be losing Mike Evans, and what you're getting I don't think takes his place. So again, as Mike and I tell you, it's a couple weeks in. I know people are getting nervous, maybe getting frustrated, maybe saying, okay, the ball's not getting shared or this guy's not getting enough, and I want to send, it's a couple weeks in. So just take a breather, relax, take a deep old breath, and it's going to be okay. Mike Evans, I don't see him in this trade helping. It doesn't help you out for what you're getting to give up somebody like that. I think the person asking you for this trade is hoping that you're dumb enough to do it, and don't be. So next one up, Mike, Atlanta Falcons at the New York Giants. What do you got?
Well, that's not fair. What if he proposed a trade? Maybe he doesn't like Mike Evans.
Well, he should like Mike Evans. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is not a game here. I mean, I got Daniel Jones ranked at number 9 just because Atlanta's looked really bad, in my opinion. That starts at the quarterback. Meanwhile, I got Matt Ryan at 22. Who would have ever thought I'd have Matt Ryan at 22 and Daniel Jones at number 9? That's where they are, and it's all math when I do these projections. I'm looking at the running back situation. I think Mike Davis is due to break out. I think Saquon Barkley has had a substandard year, and I think he needs to break out a little bit, but he's still coming back from that injury. Remember, his first 2 games, he had a game, and 3 days later he had a game. 4 days later he had a game. So, I mean, and those were his first 2 back from the big injury. So I think Saquon's going to constantly improve by the end of the season. So Saquon's number 18, Mike Davis 15 on the rankings here. Calvin Ridley, best wide receiver on the field, he's at number 15, and Sterling Shepard, number 18 on the rankings, and the best tight end on the field is the rookie Kyle Pitts. He's number 8 on the rankings. I have to go down in the 20s to find Kyle Rudolph at the other side of the field. I have to go with the Giants in this game. The Falcons have just looked pathetic. But I do have a question for you. I do have a knock-knock for you. Knock-knock.
Who's there?
Owen.
Owen who?
One of these teams is going to be 0-3 after this one. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be Atlanta. I'm taking the G-Men at home.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, yeah, Atlanta struggles. Atlanta definitely struggles. And, I didn't feel good about them going into the season. And I think I've been clear on the fact that I'm not sold on Atlanta. So, I mean, but picking the Giants to beat them, that's just sad for Atlanta. So, I mean, Philadelphia trounced them on the road 32-6, and I had Philadelphia winning that game, but not by that big of a margin. So, I think, Atlanta's got too much talent to be wasting it. And, I think the Matt Ryan chapter, as I've been saying, I feel like it's coming to a close. It's coming to a place where we're going to see a change, I think, at some point here in the next year or two. If they're playing like this and they're not scoring, then I'm definitely looking at the fact that they might start looking elsewhere sooner than later. But this is really rough for me. This is really rough for me to say that Atlanta's going to lose to the Giants, but they are playing on the road, and it is Saquon, even though he's been somewhat underwhelming. So in this Falcons game, Calvin Ridley, you got to put him out there. And then Russell Gage is a wide receiver 4 for me right now. And then Kyle Pitts is worth the play. I like Kyle Pitts as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at tight end. Mike Davis is worth the play for you as well. They're going to have to be potentially checked down and getting the ball out there. So he had 16 total touches in the loss that they just had this past week, so he's worth the play. On the other side of it, Daniel Jones, that's a no from me. Saquon Barkley is worth the play. Kenny Golladay, I think, in this one's worth the play. Sterling Shepard's a wide receiver 3 in this, and Kyle Rudolph might get himself a little start here as Evan Engram is injured, and Rudolph had 25 yards in the Week 2 game. Temper your expectations with him. If you need a tight end, someone got hurt or something, with your team, you need some help as a secondary tight end. Kyle Rudolph, not your first choice. Not your first choice. I think he's like a low wide or tight end too, but still, if you need somebody, he could be getting his start this week. I'm going to go with the Giants at home and hope that Saquon finally shows up for me. That's where I sit with this one, even though it's hard for me to pick against the Falcons because it is the Giants. We have another question here from Bruisin. Chubb or Mixon this week? Mixon, who we have not gotten to, it's actually our next game. Mixon's going to be playing Pittsburgh, and then Nick Chubb is playing Chicago. What do you have, Mike?
Yeah, I got Mixon at 6 on the rankings. I got Chubb at 14, so there you go.
So Mike is saying go with Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb going up against Chicago. I'm a fan of Chubb. I feel like he's got more to this, but Mixon is playing at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh hasn't played that well. So between the two of these, I may lean toward Mixon in this one as well, just because he really doesn't have anybody threatening him, and we know that Chubb and Cream are both going to get after it. So with this direct question of Chubb or Mixon for this week, Bruce, and I'm going to agree with Mike and say Joe Mixon. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, let's hop into Joe Mixon's game. What do you got?
You ever have one of those, you ever seen people that have a car and they keep, have had it forever, have had it for like 20 years and they keep putting money into it and keep putting money into it and keep putting money into it. And truth be told, the car's really not that great. I mean, it's functional and gets you to point A to point B. That is Ben Roethlisberger. That's what's happening right now. We're starting to see the slow demise, I think, of Ben Roethlisberger. He's got a pec injury right now. The guy's old. He hasn't aged as well as TB12. And, of course, I guess dietary and physical, attributes and all that stuff comes into play. I got Ben Roethlisberger 21 in this game. I'd like to offer him more respect, more, hey, you deserve this. I can't do it. But I got Joe Burrow, who's coming off a stinker at 24. So not a good quarterback play game. The value in this game, fantasy-wise, is definitely for the running backs. Najee Harris at number 5, Joe Mixon at 6. And looking at the receivers, they're all bunched in the high 20s to the 30s. I got Deontay Johnson at 23. I got Juju Smith-Schuster at 25. Let's see, I got Chase Claypool at 30. I got Jamar Chase at 32. I got Tyler Boyd at 36. So not a huge game. Oh, and T. Higgins at 29. So not a huge game, but you got to know where these guys are, especially if you're playing daily. You can get some value out of one of these guys, and should one of these guys break out, well, you'll probably win yourself some money. And looking at the tight end position, I can't really start either one tight end for either team. I got Uzuma at 29. I got Eric Ebron at 40. Reluctantly, I have to take a winner in this one. I want to see this slugfest come down to overtime if at all possible. I think it might just be a field goal game. And because of that, I got to take Pittsburgh at home.
And Mike's going with Pittsburgh this one. Mike, we got another question. We'll get to it in just a second as I am going to be giving you my Cincinnati thoughts here in this matchup. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, giving you both of them. And for Cincinnati, I like a bounce-back Burrow. I still think he's a low-end quarterback one this week, but I think he'll bounce back. Joe Mixon, I like in this. T. Higgins, I like in this. Jamar Chase, as I spoke about earlier, I like him in this one as well as a wide receiver too. Not really sold on their tight end situation, but it's they're playing Pittsburgh, so C.J. Uzma, I would say, is a tight end too. Big Ben is banged up in this, and he's questionable with a pectoral injury. Again, I said if he goes down, they could be in a lot of trouble, but with healthy, they're kind of in trouble too. So the value lies in Najee Harris, and Juju is a wide receiver too for me this week. Knee injury for Deontay Johnson, just watch that. He's a wide receiver too for me. I don't see more value on Pittsburgh than I see on Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati on the road in this matchup to get that dub over a team that I agree with you, Mike. I think we're seeing the Big Ben kind of fading away here as far as, should he continue? Should it's hard because, you see these guys say like, oh, I'm thinking about retiring, and people are like, wow, it's way too early. And then you see this situation when you're thinking to yourself, maybe it is time for Big Ben to consider this. And it's hard, but it's just not looking pretty. It's not looking great. And let's face it, they didn't beat the Bills. Their special teams and defense beat the Bills. So I'm not feeling good about it. That's why I'm going with the Bengals. Question that came in, would we trade Mike Williams for Julio Jones or Robert Woods?
I traded for Robert Woods in a heartbeat.
I said the exact same thing. So there you go, Bruisin. Mike and I agreed with this. So Mike and I both saying that I think that there's no question that the Mike Williams for Robert Woods is a great trade where you would be winning. So Mike says Mike Williams for Robert Woods. You getting Robert Woods would be good. It is a go. So I agree with him. I already wrote mine in as well. So there you go, Bruisin, for you. If you have questions, send them to us in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly powered by the Wildcat Sports Club, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. If you're here in Central and Upstate New York, make sure you head to the Wildcat to watch your games and to be there all week long. Open 7 days a week on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, with so many things on the menu that you could go there every single week and try something new. Make sure you call 315-487-2222 for takeout and delivery. They also have catering available at 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. And we continue on here. Arizona at Jacksonville. Jacksonville has looked like not great at all on defense. 2 bad weeks for the defense. Special teams got the first return touchdown on special teams in a long time for the Jaguars. So shout out to that 102-yard kick return. And so just fantastic. And I loved it. I loved watching that. But beyond that, Jacksonville's given me little to watch with a troubling offensive line still. And a defense that I thought had more depth than they've had in a while, and they're not playing well either. So it's been ugly for Jacksonville, and lucky for them, they get a fantastic fantasy-laden team to come into town in Duval. Mike, what do you have for this?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Interesting for the Cardinals, that is. It's an old left coast, 1 o'clock Eastern Coast game here, so that could be the only hindrance for Arizona in this one. I just don't think the Jags can keep up with what Arizona has firepower, and they're led by Kyler Murray, who's number 3 on the quarterback ranking this week. I got Trevor Lawrence ranked at 20. I must say, Trevor Lawrence is coming along here. It's just they don't have it all put together quite yet. They're in Jacksonville. James Robinson, though, put it all together last year, the undrafted guy out of Illinois State. James Robinson, number 23 on my rankings this week. Chase Edmonds, a few ticks above that at 19. And looking at the wide receivers in this one, Rondelle Moore burst on the scene last week, over a buck through the air. The second-round pick out of Purdue, fast. He's got some moves, and he can catch the ball. 54 on a ranking for Rondelle Moore so far. That's where he is this week. But on the other side of the ball, I'm desperate here if I'm looking for a Marvin Jones, a Laviska Shenault. Marvin Jones 24 and a Laviska Shenault at 31, the highest rated guys for Jacksonville on the receiver end. And DeAndre Hopkins. I can't leave DeAndre Hopkins out. He's number 11 on the wide receiver ranking. Looking at the tight ends, Jacksonville has a tight end going down right now, James O'Shaughnessy. He's not going to be taking the field. So look for a garbage time possible touchdown for Luke Farrell here. But I can't start anybody from Jacksonville in the tight end position. I can't start anybody from Arizona in the tight end position. But I do think Arizona is going to win this game in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I got Arizona winning this game too. I think it's what Jacksonville has put up lately is just Arizona is better than the Texans, as we know, and Arizona is better than Denver. So with although Denver's sneaky, Arizona's got a lot of fantasy value. So Kyler Murray in this, Chase Edmonds and James Conner. Both of these guys are running back 3s for me. Chase Edmonds maybe like a low end 2, Conner a 3. Still watching to see how this shapes out. I like DeAndre Hopkins in this matchup. I think Christian Kirk and Rondelle Moore might get involved, but those are flex guys. Wide receiver 4, I would say. Christian Kirk maybe a wide receiver 3, but really the value is in Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins in this matchup. On the other side, Jacksonville is going to be passing, so Trevor Lawrence, if you don't get in trouble for interceptions, Trevor Lawrence is a guy that you could definitely use in this game. I think they're going to have to score in the 30s to compete with Arizona. So Lawrence isn't a bad bet. James Robinson's worth the play. DJ Chark, Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones, wide receiver 4. DJ Chark, wide receiver 3, I would say, at this point. Manhurts might get involved at some point, but he's a tight end 2, and you should be your second. Only if you're playing 2 tight ends do you look to him, not as a tight end 1 situation. Luke Farrell, starting role opens up here, so we know that starting spot is kind of open with all these guys. Maybe they could call Tim Tebow again since they thought he wasn't good enough to be there. But I think really James Robinson is your safest play, and your fantasy value lies in Arizona, who I think will get into the 30s, and I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals to win this game as well with Mike. So Mike and I have only gone against each other once in our picks this week, and that's the Steelers-Bengals game. I picked the road team, Cincinnati. He picked the home team, Pittsburgh. Next game up for us, Mr. Sofka, is New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. And Teddy Bridgewater played for both of these teams. Some people might forget that he was a Jet, but he played for the Jets, and now he's the Broncos quarterback. What do you got?
Yeah, it's an interesting game. I like Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's got a good story. He's resilient. He just keeps on keeping on, and I like that about Teddy Bridgewater. The Jets and Zach Wilson seem to be going in the opposite direction. It's not an easy road game to go to the Mile High Stadium here. Looking at Zach Wilson at number 31 on the rankings this week. Meanwhile, I got Teddy Bridgewater at 14. Looking at the running backs, I got Melvin Gordon at 25. And then if you want to go Devante Williams, he's at 36. He took against just a guy's a rookie. And on the other side, it's a muddled mess. You with a Michael Carter, who I think is going to eventually come out on top. You had Michael Carter. You had Ty Johnson in the mix. But I can't start any of these guys. They're in the 40s as far as running backs go. That's not where you want to be. These are not the droids you're looking for. Corey Davis, number 38 receiver for the Jets. And on the other side of the ball for Denver, well, Jerry Jeudy's done for a little while, at least 6 weeks here. So you may be able to depend on Cortland Sutton. He's still slowly coming back from injury himself. So I got him at 41. And then, if you want to go a little bit deeper play, you can go with Tim Patrick, who I used in DFS this past week, and he picked me up a touchdown. So that was a good play. And looking at the tight ends, I'm not sure I can really play anybody for the Jets. And, of course, on the other side, Noah Fant, you have to play him. He's number 7 on the rankings for tight ends. I got to go with the hometown team here in Denver.
Yeah, I think, this is cut and paste from last year and the years before, unfortunately, when it comes to the Jets, is you pick the other team, whoever they're playing. Not a ton of value with the Jets. Corey Davis could be a sneaky flex for you as a 3 or a 4, probably a wide receiver 4. They're still trying to figure out the running game. Michael Carter's moving up, but, still kind of waiting to see what he can be in this. Now, this is a cool game because Michael Carter and Devante Williams both ran in the backfield for Carolina a season ago. They're both rookies, and they're playing each other in their first season in the NFL, 3rd game ever. Michael Carter and Devante Williams are going to try and have a little bragging rights, and I would imagine that they're going to be the guys switching jerseys at the end of this game, so hopefully there'll be a cool picture of that. But Michael Carter, for me, still low on the running back road, maybe running back 4 for you, just because of where the Jets are at. On the other side for Denver, a lot of value here. I like Teddy Bridgewater in this game. I think he's going to be able to throw all over this team. Tim Patrick has stepped it up. He's one of those guys that's on my list of you should have picked him up. If you didn't pick him up, he's probably potentially not there. So Tim Patrick is definitely worth picking up. Cortland Sutton, he's worth the play. Patrick's worth the play. Patrick behind Sutton. Noah Fant's worth the play. And, Devante Williams is banged up here, so hopefully he can get out there. He's got an oblique injury. Melvin Gordon, if Javante's not playing, then play Melvin Gordon. If Javante is playing, then Melvin Gordon becomes a lower-end wide receiver or running back 2 for me in this. I think there's fantasy value, a lot of fantasy value with Denver. And I'm going with the Broncos. I mean, I have to. How could I not choose these Denver Broncos as we step forward here in our games that we have for you? And Mike and I will take a final step aside here in just a moment to get to the rest of these. We'll be taking a step aside here. If you have any questions coming in, make sure you send them here to the Cafe Kubal Studios Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub And so I love Cortland Sutton and the Broncos once again to take down the Jets at home in Mile High. And the next game that Mike and I are going to be bringing you here in the schedule that I'll defer to Mike to first here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com where the MixLR feed is embedded, and you can listen live there. Miami at Vegas, Mike, what do you have for this one?
Yeah, this is not a big fantasy game by any stretch of the imagination. Jacoby Brissett probably going to make the start for Miami, based on the pain tolerance with Tua and the ribs. Brissett at 26 on the rankings here. And on the other side of the ball, Derek Carr, he's a great quarterback. He's good. He's not great, but he is number 12 this week on the rankings. Looking at the running backs, we talked about Myles Gaskin earlier, number 26 on the rankings. Kenyon Drake probably going to get the start and most of the touches for an injured Josh Jacobs. Kenyon Drake at 32. Looking at the wide receivers, this is a muddled mess. Who would have thought the highest ranked receivers I would have on this is Devontae Parker and Will Fuller? But these guys are in the high 40s. I'm going the same direction with Hunter Renfrow and Henry Ruggs. These guys are in the 50s and 60s, so you can't count on these guys. They may make a big splash play, but I'm not sure they're going to carry you to a victory this week. So maybe look elsewhere if you have those options. If not, it is what it is. And looking at the tight end position here, I don't know if I can really start any tight end for Miami. Gesicki hasn't really lived up to it yet. He's number 16 on the rankings for me. But Darren Waller, he's the number one target. He's the number one receiver. You might as well call him a wide receiver for the Raiders. He's going to get all the targets. He's going to put up the points for you. He's number 2 on my rankings this week. I'm going with the Raiders at home.
The Raiders. So I'm excited about this. By the way, I want to go back a second here. Mike, you gave a Star Wars reference, and I've become an increasingly, more and more a Star Wars fan. You said these are not the droids you're looking for. I just want to show some love and respect to that because I wasn't ready for you to say it, but I'm very happy you did. So I'm very excited about that. As we know, we got Bill Belichick, and I would love to play the Imperial March, but if you play like 3 seconds of anything on YouTube, they get frisky. And so does Facebook. So I have to say a million times this does not belong to us. Just like we would say these are not the droids you're looking for, YouTube or Facebook. But we love you both very much. So Myles Gaskin in this matchup, I think he's worth a play. Mike and I had mentioned him before. Will Fuller the 5th. I mean, Jacoby being out there in this matchup, if that's what's going to happen with the rib injury to Tua, then, Will Fuller, I think he has some value, but as a wide receiver 3, I would say he's set to make his debut this week. So he's been out and was suspended. So I'm gonna say he's a wide receiver 3. Jalen Waddle, it depends on his relationship with Jacoby Brissett. So I'd say he's a wide receiver 3. He's a flex player this week as well. I think really all of the Miami, Jalen Waddle, Will Fuller, both flex players for you from the receiving core. Gaskin worth the play. Gesicki, he could be a good out for him, but I think he's a tight end too this week. And on the lower end, I would imagine here, if you're playing 2 tight ends, he would be your second, not your first choice. Derek Carr is questionable with an ankle injury, which leaves, and Marcus Mariota's injured too, so that could mean Nathan Peterman, baby, the guy that used to be with the Bills that people are like, oh my goodness, if he was my kicker, I wouldn't want him here. But Nathan Peterman is your quarterback, and he played for the Pitt Panthers, and he's not bad. He's had some troubling moments with Buffalo, but everybody has those adversity moments. It's how you respond to it. So if he has to play, I hope he responds well. Could this be the first time that John Gruden thinks, life after Derek Carr, should I go get a quarterback out there? I wonder. But that's going to have something to do with this game. You got 2 injured starting quarterbacks. Josh Jacobs is hurt as well, and so Josh Jacobs has a toe injury, and luckily he doesn't need that. It's on a foot, and he's a running back. But Kenyon Drake, he would have to be the guy to put out there in this matchup. I like Kenyon Drake here as a running back 2 or a high-end 3. Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow and company, I'm a little nervous because of the quarterback situation, but I'd say Ruggs is a wide receiver 3, and you got to play Darren Waller. So there's more value on the Raiders than there is on the Dolphins, which is going to make me it's going to make me pick the Raiders in this one, but I don't like either one of these teams in this matchup at all. So I'm going to go Raiders very reluctantly in this game. Mike?
The Bucs. I mean, they look better than they did last year. They were 7-5 one point last year. Didn't even look like they were going to make the playoffs, much less go on a huge run. But, you can't underestimate the power of Tom Brady. You can't underestimate the power of these, world-class Pro Bowl caliber, all pro caliber players on just about every position on that roster for Tampa, and they all came back, all 22 starters. That hardly ever happens. Now they've had more time to prepare. That's the last thing you need to do, is give the smartest kid in the class more time to study for the test. He's going to get an ace. He's going to ace the test, and that's going to happen here. Even though the Bucs are going out to L.A., it's a 4 o'clock game, shouldn't be a jet lag problem. Looking at Tom Brady at number 8 on the ranking here, and as far as the Rams go, I'd like to say I got Matt Stafford right there with him. He's just a couple notches below at number 11. So there's some value in quarterback play. There's also value in wide receiver play on this one. I'll get to that in just a second. But Darrell Henderson is dinged up. We're not going to know really till Friday if he's going to play. They've said Sony Michel is gonna get the start. So does that mean Darrell Henderson's going to play on a limited basis? I'm very touch and go with that. If Darrell Henderson was 100% healthy, he'd be number 10 on my rankings. But I'm in caution with that whole play there. I might even just stay away from that situation because it's 4 o'clock, and most of my other options might be 1 o'clock players. Looking at the Bucs, Leonard Fournette, touchdown Lenny, playoff Lenny, whatever you want to call him. He's number 24 on my rankings this week. The wide receivers, where the value is. Cooper Kupp is having an outstanding season. This guy is huge, coming off 16 receptions, 271 and 3 touchdowns is what this cat had. Cooper Kupp, number 2 wide receiver, only behind Tyreek Hill and ahead of Devante Adams and Stephon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb and company. So Cooper Kupp, number 2. Robert Woods, number 24 on the rankings. Meanwhile, for Tampa, Chris Godwin checks in at 19. Mike Evans at 27. And a sneaky flex play I like, Antonio Brown, number 40. Looking at the wide receivers, well, the Rams may not be knocking down the door of any Hall of Fame situation yet, but Tyler Higbee is coming along. He's number 9. But who would have thought that Gronk would be making a Tom Brady-like presence at this old age? Gronk getting it done still. Number 6 on my rankings this week. I'm taking Tampa on the road.
Yeah, I mean, this has got fantasy value all over it. And at the wide receiver core, I mean, you might have wide receivers. If you got them playing each other, this is your week, baby. If you have Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Rob Gronkowski, and if you have these receiving cores making it interesting up against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and so on and so forth, even in Antonio Brown to get involved here somewhere, I love what this game looks like from the receiving core. Like this is the receiving core fantasy game to watch of the week. Tom Brady, yes, play. Leonard Fournette, I would say running back 2. Mike Evans, play. Chris Godwin, play. Antonio Brown, flex. Rob Gronkowski, play. Rams, Matty Stafford, play. Robert Woods, play. Cooper Kupp, play. Tyler Higbee, I think he's a tight end 1, could be a lower end tight end 1, but I still think he's out there. Darrell Henderson, if he's not going to play with his rib injury that's left him questionable, then Sony Michel will be out there for the team. Could be a good PPR, little check down guy for you. Could help you out maybe a little bit, potentially. But remember, he was on a team with James White where he didn't have to do it. So, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, Matt Stafford, yes for the Rams. And Fournette, Evans, Godwin, Brown, Gronk, Brady, good for the Bucs. The Bucs are nasty. And I really hope that this is like a game of the week thing. I want to see these teams score in the 40s. I don't think they will. It could be like 28, 20-something. But I am excited to see this game because of the quarterback play, the wide receivers that will get involved. This could be the game that breaks open your fantasy day, so definitely watch it. Seattle at Minnesota, the final game before Sunday Night Football. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I like this game a lot, too. It's going to be an interesting game to me. Russell Wilson, number 5 on the quarterback rankings here. And on the other side of the ball, Kirk Cousins, Norway, Mr. Mendoza, down a couple ticks here to 18 this week. Running backs is where the money is in this game here. I like Chris Carson. He's having a heck of a year. I've been on him for a long time in Dynasty and keeper leagues, the guy at Oklahoma State seems to be getting it done. I know he's dealt with some injuries, but checking in at number 11 on the rankings. Then the other side of the ball, of course, Dowling Cook, number 2, second only to Christian McCaffrey, and above Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry this week. So that should tell you something. Dowling Cook, number 2 on the rankings. Looking at the Seahawks, there's a guy that I want you to remember. You probably saw him last week. If you're playing DFS, Freddie Swing, the undrafted guy out of Ocala, Florida, from the Florida Gators. Freddie Swing, keep that name tucked away. He could be that really affordable last-minute guy that you fill in so you can get some of those big, more expensive guys. But looking at the other receivers, then there's Justin Jefferson, who I think is going to end up with the best career of anybody on the field here. Justin Jefferson, number 12 on the receiver rankings. Adam Thielen, number 16 for the Seahawks. That the combination of DK Metcalf, he can take one deep with his speed anytime. Number 10 on the rankings. And then, of course, Tyler Lockett. How can you forget that cat? He just seems to be where the ball is. He just seems to be a playmaking guy, and anytime he takes the field, you got to account for him. So I like Tyler Lockett a lot as well. Looking at the number 6 on the rankings there, and looking at the tight end position, really not sure that I have a tight end that I'm interested in starting this game. I don't even know if they should play one. Gerald Everett may be the guy in Seattle, but that's about it right now. You can't count on a Tyler Conklin yet out of Minnesota, number 31 on my rankings. Minnesota off to a horrible start. They got some playmakers. Seattle coming off that big game with Tennessee. This might be a letdown game. Russell Wilson getting it done through the air, but this may be a letdown. I'm going to say Seattle wins, but I'm going to put up the alert signals for an upset here.
Alert signals are firmly up in the air, and these still aren't the droids that you're looking for. Seattle and Minnesota, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson in this. Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. Gerald Everett only had 1 catch this past week, so I'd probably leave him off for you. I think he's a tight end too. On the other side of it, Delvin Cook, yes. Justin Jefferson, yes. Thielen, yes. And Tyler Conklin, as like you talked about, he had 2 receptions. Chris Herndon there for Minnesota as well, trying to find something, get something going here for the Minnesota Vikings. And Herndon coming to them from the Jets. I don't see any value at the tight end for either team. I think, Jefferson and Thielen are the guys to look at, and obviously Dalvin Cook. I love the fantasy value of the game, and I'm going with Russ the Bus in this one as well. And I'm going to pick the Seahawks over the Vikings on the road. Mike and I taking our final step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour. It's the only place you should be every single week, and we do it on Wednesday so that you have more than enough time you got more than 24 hours from our Wednesday broadcast to be ready for Thursday Night Football and Sunday night and Monday night. We put you there, and we give you all these days so you can write into us if you have questions, if somebody goes down, if something changes, if the injury report changes, you can write to us. Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, the Winning Fantasy Football Group, and of course live on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. So no excuses. We are here to help you, so let us do that. We'll take a step aside before we get into Sunday and Monday Night Football, and Mike and I will be back with plenty more inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in your Cafe Cubal studios, and we'll be back after this fast break. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacted the lives of others is really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognize that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to .com is hanging out with me here. Also, our Winning Fantasy Football group on Facebook. Join that by simply going to Facebook, typing in Winning Fantasy Football, and clicking join. It's as simple as that. It's as easy as that. And you're probably on Facebook right now watching and listening to us, so you could do it while you're doing that. Watch Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. You can also listen on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.com's home page. So make sure that you do that. Mike and I got 2 games left, Sunday and Monday Night Football. You got questions, send them in on those avenues that I just mentioned to you where you're listening and watching live. Green Bay at San Francisco. Mike, what do you have for the Packers facing off against the Niners on the West Coast?
Well, it only took the Packers 6 quarters to stop hitting their snooze button and wake up already, but they did in the second half of that game against the Lions. They looked really good. They looked what I expect the Packers to look like. Now they travel all the way to San Francisco and put it on the line there where San Francisco's 2-0. Sunday night game, this is going to be a great game. to watch. I'm really excited about it. Aaron Jones, number 13 on the rankings. Jimmy Garoppolo, number 16. Looking at the running back situation here, Aaron Jones. The guy had like 4 touchdowns in this last game here. The guy's a beast. A couple of them were through the air. I think 3 of them were through the air, 1 of them on the ground. So it was just an outstanding performance. That was a performance where Aaron Rodgers didn't light it up in the air yardage-wise, but he was effective, and he got the touchdowns, and he led the team, especially in that second half there. On the other side of the ball, I'm not sure if I'm confident in Elijah Mitchell being 100% injury-free, and Trey Sermon should be the other active participant in that backfield, but I don't know which one to take. I got Elijah Mitchell at 29, Trey Sermon a lot further down, so I'm going to stay away from that situation if I can. Looking at the wide receivers here, Devante Adams, the number 1 wide receiver on the field, but a young guy who's coming up behind him is Deebo Samuel on the other side of the field. I got Deebo at number 8, and I got Devante at 3. Big drop-off after that. I can't really start anybody else wide receiver-wise in this game. And looking at the tight end situation here, I got George Kittle. Everybody knows George Kittle, top 5 tight end year in, year out, number 4 on the rankings. And I'm not sure I can count on Robert Tonyan, but I do like him at number 14 on my rankings this week. I'm going to have to go with San Fran at home just because if this game was being played in Green Bay, I might go with Green Bay at home. So I'm going to take San Fran at home.
I hope the fans saw my face when I was like, "Bar," so I thought you were going Green Bay. But and my mistake, I said earlier in the show, Elijah Mitchell of the Jets. My bad on that. Elijah Mitchell of the Niners. So Elijah Moore drafted by the Jets out of Ole Miss. So there you go. Aaron Rodgers worth the play for me in this one. Aaron Jones worth the play as well. And blessings to Aaron Jones. And I hope you found everything with your dad's ashes and all that. So my best to Aaron Jones, and God bless. A.J. Dillon got involved. He's still a running back 4 for me. Devante Adams, I like it. Alan Lazard not targeted at all Monday night, so how about that? And so, with 3 catches for Randall Cobb in his return, and then nothing for Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So hard to tell you anybody besides Devante Adams, but I think Lazard or Cobb could be a sneaky flex for you. Robert Tonyan worth the play as well. My guy Mercedes Lewis is behind him from Jaguars history. Love you, Mercedes, and I miss you, man. As far as the other side for San Francisco, Deebo Samuel, I would say, is worth the play for you. Wide receiver 2, or I like him at flex because I think there's other people to put out there. But Deebo Samuel, I would say, obviously put him out. Brandon Ayuk got to play, but didn't do much in this one. Trent Sherfield finished 3rd in wide receiver snaps. So really, Deebo Samuel and George Kittle are your best bets. Mike's going San Fran. I'm going with the team that went there twice last year and beat them both times. Green Bay went in, ba-boom. They went in and got ba-boom. So I got to go with Green Bay. Let's go Pack go. Let's see if they can go 3-0. So I like the Packers in this matchup, and I like a little more fantasy value on their side as well. I'm going Pack on this. Our final game of the week, Week 3 of the NFL season, inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Philadelphia, Dallas. Mike, what do you got for Monday night?
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. It always is in the NFC least, of course. These teams battle each other at least. Philadelphia looked great in their first game of the year. They look like world beaters. Not so much after that, though. And Dallas has had the opposite, situation there. Not so much week 1, and then they got that road victory at the Chargers there. I like this game a lot for fantasy. It has some fantasy implications. I got Jalen Hurts for Philadelphia ranked at number 6, and Dak Prescott number 7 as far as quarterbacks go this week. And as far as the running backs go, a little bit different situation. These guys are downgraded a little bit from where we're used to. We're used to hearing these guys in the top 10. These guys are RB2s right now, and Zeke Elliott and Miles Sanders checking in at 16 and 17. I do have Tony Pollard making an appearance here on the ranking, but he's like in the high 30s. So, yes, I think he's a better running back right now than Zeke, but we'll see how that distribution shakes out. They're in a good position in Dallas. A lot of teams who have that 1-2 punch at running back now are doing really well. Dallas also has a 1-2 punch at wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb checking in at number 5 and Amari Cooper at number 9 on the ranking. The Eagles, well, not so much. The Eagles have Devonta Smith, and he checks in at number 26 on my rankings. Looking at the tight end position, Dallas Goedert's the one you want. He's number 12 on the ranking here. And for Dallas, well, not so much. Maybe a Dalton Schultz checking in at 26 or a Blake Jarwin at number 30. Frankly, I'm probably not playing either one of those guys, even in daily. I'm going to go with the Cowboys at home to beat the Eagles.
Get it, girl. I like it. I'm excited about it. Looking forward to it as we move forward here. Green Bay, pardon me here on this one too. Green Bay had dropped 2 in San Fran and then beat San Fran on November 5th of 2020. So my note here on this is I'm correcting myself, my little stat correction. So let me make sure I say that. But I'm going with Green Bay still on the road at San Francisco. This Monday Night Football game, you know, I would have, last year, oh my gosh, both of these, the NFC East was horrible. Terrible. They were terrible. So just bad, ugly. At one point, we thought a 4-win team was going to win the division. It was vomitous. But I actually think this is going to be a good Monday night game. Jalen Hurts is having fun. There's fantasy value. Dak is back. I am really, honestly, I'm probably as excited for this Philly-Dallas game right now than I was when I was back in college. And, you know, we're talking, this was 2006, 15 years ago. I was excited about watching that game when they're playing on, you know, primetime football. So I love it. I love what both of these teams can bring to the table, and I'm really excited about this game. I think Jalen Hurts is worth the play for you. I think Miles Sanders is worth the play. I think Kenneth Gainwell is a sneaky flex, and he's a good running back 3. I think Dallas Goedert is worth the play for you. And then on Dallas' side, I like Prescott. What do I say? I say it almost pretty much every week. Memphis, under Mike Norvell, was sending running backs to the NFL. I think there's 5, and they're all in action, or they're right there. Tony Pollard is that guy. Oh, yeah, Dallas brought in somebody to back up Zeke. He'll never play. No, Tony Pollard can catch. He can run. He can do a lot of different things. I like Pollard in this matchup. I like Pollard in general. I think he's going to have a good Monday night. So you can't really stay away from playing Zeke, but I think he's a running back too. I think Pollard is there and should be there. And if you got a handcuff, that could be a good one. CeeDee Lamb is definitely worth the play. Amari Cooper's questionable with a rim injury. If he's good to go, he's good to go. You should play him. And Dalton Schultz was quiet in week 2, but I still like Schultz. I just like him as a tight end too. So a lot of value on both sides. And I'm going with them boys, them hometown boys. My buddy Rob Drum is going to kill me for this. But, Mike, once again, Philly, Dallas, who did you go with?
I'm taking Dallas at home.
So Mike and I have only differed on 2 games this week. We picked in the Packers-Niners on the road in San Fran. Mike picked 49ers. I picked the Packers. Bengals at Steelers. Mike picked the Steelers. I picked the Bengals. So in the 2 games we differed on, I went road. He went home. We both went the Cowboys on Monday night. Mr. Sofka, is always, in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, the place that all fantasy football and NFL fans and football and sports fans in general should be, every Wednesday from 9:45 to 11 a.m., proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. I want to thank you for being the other half of this awesome ride, and I will see you next week in a very cool situation, God willing, again, and I look forward to it. So, in the meantime, blessings. Check them out at HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com, Winning Fantasy Football Group on Facebook, Winning Fantasy Football YouTube channel. Thank you, Mike, for all you do.
Thank you, Dan. I look forward to seeing you next week as well.
That sounds good. That coming from Mr. Mike Sofka, which means that we have wrapped up today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I appreciate you so very much for being a part of the show. So, we'll bid you adieu. And how great is the Manning brother cast on Monday night? Yeah, it's going to be fun. So you got the Mannings, and you got the Eagles and the Cowboys. This is going to be nuts. Nutty Professor type of Monday Night Football. I'm excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. And I cannot wait to watch Monday Night Football. I'm so jazzed about Monday Night Football this week. I'm really excited about it and cannot wait to watch it. So I hope you'll watch it with me, and I hope we'll have some fun. You can watch it at the Wildcat Sports Pub, the home of all things fantasy football here in Central and Upstate New York, where our Central New Yorkers call home, and where you call home every Monday through Friday and on the weekends. So you're there Monday through Friday watching baseball, Monday Night Football, different things coming up and whatnot. And then Saturday, college football, Sunday, the NFL. The Wildcats got you set 7 days a week. Call them at 315-487-2222 for takeout and delivery. And, of course, you could find them at 3680 Milton Avenue for dining inside 3680 Milton Ave in Camillus. So we'll see you out there. In the meantime, thank you so much again. Thank you to my hour number one that we had my guest in Dolphin Time, which is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Shout out to my guy Bob Beretta, the athletics director of Lemoyne College. And shout out to those Lemoyne Dolphins. Fins completely up, folks. Make sure you're supporting your Dolphins today, tomorrow, and always. Appreciate Lemoyne and all that they do. Plenty of teams in action, from softball to baseball to, of course, their men's and women's soccer programs, volleyball team, the golf teams for men's and women's, cross country. Make sure you're checking out more at LeMoyneDolphins.com, and I hope you have a great day. So God bless, no stress.